Most people live their lives like leaves in the wind, tossed around by emotions, lost in distraction, chasing things that never last. But 2,000 years ago, in the marble halls of Rome, there lived a man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth. And yet, he spent his nights not seeking glory, but seeking peace. His name was Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, a man burdened by responsibility, betrayal, and war. But through it all, he found strength not in armies or wealth, but in his mind. Marcus understood something most of us forget, that true power comes from mastering yourself, not controlling others. He faced the same problems we face today: anxiety, anger, loss, stress, and uncertainty. But instead of letting them break him, he used philosophy, Stoicism, to build an unshakable inner fortress. This is what Donald Robertson's book, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, is all about. Learning to live, think, and act as Marcus Aurelius did. Robertson, a cognitive behavioral therapist, combines modern psychology with ancient wisdom to teach us how to manage our thoughts, heal emotional wounds, and live with purpose and clarity. Throughout this audiobook, you'll walk side by side with Marcus, through the battlefields of Rome and the inner battles of his mind. You'll see how he turned fear into calm, anger into compassion, and chaos into discipline. Every chapter will guide you deeper into Stoic thinking, not as a dusty philosophy, but as a living practice for today's chaotic world. You'll learn how to face life's hardships with calm confidence, how to transform pain into wisdom, and how to find freedom, not by running from suffering, but by mastering your response to it. Because the truth is, life will never get easier, but you can get stronger. That's what Marcus Aurelius discovered, and that's what this book will teach you: to think like a Roman emperor and rule the only kingdom that truly matters, the kingdom within yourself. So, take a deep breath, let go of the noise around you, and let's begin this journey, not just through history, but through the heart and mind of one of the greatest men who ever lived.
Chapter 1. The Last of the Stoics. Becoming the Emperor of Your Own Mind. In the heart of Rome, marble pillars rose like the ribs of a sleeping giant. Beneath their shadow, a young boy named Marcus Annius Verus, who would one day be known as Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, was being watched by the gods of history. Marcus didn't come from chaos or poverty. He was born into privilege, a noble family, raised among tutors and scholars. But unlike most children of Rome, Marcus wasn't intoxicated by luxury. Even as a child, he felt something deeper, a quiet sense of duty, a call toward virtue. When he was barely a teenager, his teacher, Diogenes, introduced him to philosophy. And from that moment, Marcus's destiny changed. While others chased gold and pleasure, Marcus sought wisdom. He began to sleep on a hard bed, dress simply, and discipline himself, training his mind to rule his desires before he ruled an empire. It was this foundation, this early Stoic training, that prepared him for what would come next, because one day, fate would test him beyond imagination. Thoughts. The Stoic mindset, preparing for chaos. When Marcus was in his 30s, the empire began to shake. The frontiers were under attack. The plague was spreading. Betrayal festered in the Senate. His co-emperor, Lucius Verus, died suddenly, and soon after, his wife, Faustina, passed away too. The weight of the world pressed down on him. He was surrounded by chaos, yet inside, Marcus remained still. In his private journal, later known as Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sentence wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. Marcus realized that our suffering doesn't come from the world, it comes from how we think about the world. And that's where this chapter begins, with the idea that your mind is your kingdom. Donald Robertson shows us that Stoicism, the philosophy Marcus practiced, is the foundation of modern cognitive behavioral therapy. It teaches that thoughts create emotions, and emotions shape actions. When you change the way you think, you change the way you live. Lesson 1. Control what you can, accept what you can't. Marcus faced wars, disease, and death every day, yet he never lost his composure. Why? Because he focused only on what he could control. He couldn't stop the plague, he couldn't predict betrayal, but he could control his judgment, his actions, and his response. In his words, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's Stoic freedom, the kind no emperor can give or take away. Most of us spend our lives trying to control the uncontrollable, other people, outcomes, or the future. Marcus learned to turn inward. Modern application. When something upsets you, traffic, criticism, failure, pause and ask, "Can I control this?" If yes, act wisely. If no, let it go. This single mental habit will save you more peace than any victory ever could. Lesson 2. Face death and learn to live. Every morning, Marcus reminded himself that he could die that day, not in a morbid way, but as a reminder of life's fragility. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He didn't fear death because he understood something deeper. Awareness of mortality gives birth to urgency and meaning. When you accept death, you stop wasting time on trivial things. You stop chasing validation. You live with clarity because you realize how little time we truly have. Modern application. Set aside 1 minute every morning. Whisper to yourself, "If this were my last day alive, how would I live it?" This isn't gloom, it's fuel. You'll speak kinder, act braver, and appreciate more.
Lesson 3. The Mind as a Fortress. Marcus wrote in Meditations, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This line inspired entire generations, even the modern saying, "The obstacle is the way." Marcus turned every hardship into a teacher. When soldiers betrayed him, he practiced forgiveness. When he fell ill, he practiced endurance. When he lost loved ones, he practiced acceptance. He didn't just survive hardship, he used it to sharpen his soul. To him, obstacles weren't curses, they were invitations to grow stronger. Modern application. Next time something blocks your path, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Shift your mindset from victim to student, and life itself becomes your teacher. Major takeaways from Chapter 1. True strength begins with self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius ruled millions, but his greatest conquest was over himself. Control your response, and you control your world. Death is not an enemy. It's a reminder to live deeply. Every obstacle hides an opportunity. Practical exercises, modern Stoicism practice. The Control Journal. Each night, write down one thing that bothered you. Then divide it into 2 columns. What I can control, what I can't. Commit to focusing only on the first column. Memento Mori meditation. Spend 60 seconds visualizing that life is short. Ask, "If I knew my time was limited, what would I stop doing today?" Obstacle reframing. Whenever you face a setback, complete this sentence. "This situation gives me the chance to practice blank. Patience, courage, forgiveness. You choose the virtue." Marcus Aurelius began his journey as a boy of privilege. But it was through pain and philosophy that he became a man of wisdom. Donald Robertson uses this chapter to remind us that no matter who we are, we all face the same war, the war within. And victory begins the moment you stop trying to control the world and start mastering your mind.
Chapter 2. The Philosophy of a Warrior Emperor. Courage in the Face of Chaos. Picture this. The year is 168 AD. The cold winds of the northern frontier bite through the Roman camp. Soldiers huddled near fire pits, their armor glinting beneath a gray sky. Far from the marble palaces of Rome, Emperor Marcus Aurelius rides among them, not as a distant ruler, but as one of their own. Mud stains his boots, exhaustion lines his face. The plague has weakened his army, and barbarians gather at the border. Yet in the midst of chaos, Marcus remains calm. He speaks softly, encouraging his men. Because Marcus knew what most men never understand, that the battle outside means nothing if you've already lost the one within. The warrior philosopher. Donald Robertson portrays Marcus not just as an emperor, but as a stoic warrior, a man who led with wisdom rather than wrath. His power wasn't in his sword or crown, but in his mindset. While others fought to conquer lands, Marcus fought to conquer fear. He understood that fear is not an enemy to destroy, it's a messenger to understand. In Meditations, he wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This wasn't arrogance, it was discipline. Marcus believed that fear is born from judgment, from how we interpret events rather than the events themselves. When you label something terrifying, it becomes terrifying. When you label it as an opportunity to be brave, it becomes strength. That's Stoicism, a psychological training in perception. Lesson 1. Fear is a story you tell yourself. Marcus faced the unthinkable: war, plague, death, betrayal, but he saw fear for what it really is, a mental fiction. Today, I escaped anxiety. Or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Marcus realized that fear only exists when we give it power. It feeds on imagination, the what-ifs that spiral in our minds. Modern application. When fear creeps in, stop and say, "This is just a thought, not a prophecy." Don't let your mind drag you into imagined disasters. Ask yourself, is this fear helping me act wisely or paralyzing me? If it's the latter, drop it. Fear is a mental fog, and the moment you name it, it begins to clear. Brain lesson. Practice premeditation malorum, the Stoic rehearsal. Before every campaign, Marcus would sit quietly in his tent and visualize what could go wrong. A Stoic exercise known as premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils. He'd imagine losing supplies, facing betrayal, or falling ill. Not to feed anxiety, but to build emotional readiness. In doing so, he trained his mind not to be shocked by hardship. He understood that pain becomes unbearable only when it's unexpected. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, because an unexpected blow can knock you down. Modern application. Before big meetings, exams, or life changes, take 5 minutes to mentally rehearse what could go wrong. Picture yourself responding calmly. You're not expecting failure, you're preparing for life's reality. When the storm comes, you'll be steady while others panic. Stoic Lesson 2. Focus on virtue, not victory. In war, Marcus often faced overwhelming odds, but his journal reveals a profound truth. He didn't measure success by winning, but by acting with virtue. Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. He believed that outcomes are external. You can't control whether you win or lose, live or die, but you can always control whether you act justly, courageously, and wisely. That's what made him the philosopher emperor, not his power, but his principles. Modern application. In daily life, we chase results. Money, approval, perfection. But Marcus would remind you, focus on character over outcome. Ask, am I acting with integrity? Not, will this make me win?
This mindset frees you from anxiety because virtue is always within your control. Plug lesson: reframing pain. The greatest weapon of a Stoic isn't denial, it's reframing. When pain or loss hit Marcus, he didn't say, "Why me?" He said, "What can I learn from this?" When the plague decimated Rome, he didn't rage at fate. He saw it as a test of endurance, compassion, and leadership. Does what happened keep you from acting justly, generously, self-controlled, wisely? Remember why you came here, not to be overwhelmed, but to stand tall. Modern application. When hardship strikes, pause and reframe. Instead of saying, "This shouldn't have happened," say, "This is my chance to practice courage and patience." That one sentence can turn suffering into strength. Major takeaways from Chapter 2. Fear lives in imagination, not reality. Anticipating challenges makes you stronger, not weaker. Focus on what's right, not what's easy. Pain is a teacher, if you choose to listen. Practical Stoic exercises. Fear audit. Write down your biggest fear. Next to it, write what's real and what's imagined. Most of your fear will evaporate when you see how much of it is fiction. Premeditation malorum practice. Each morning, visualize 3 things that could go wrong. Then remind yourself, "I can handle it." Your brain learns resilience through rehearsal. Virtue compass. When faced with a tough decision, ask, what would a wise, just, courageous person do? Let virtue, not emotion, be your compass. Marcus Aurelius didn't just lead Rome through battles, he led himself through fear. Donald Robertson shows that courage isn't about killing fear, but mastering it. Marcus never ran from hardship, he transformed it into moral strength.
Chapter 3. The Discipline of Desire, Freedom from Passion and Attachment. The night sky over the Roman frontier shimmered with cold starlight. Marcus Aurelius sat alone in his tent, a candle burning beside him. He wasn't writing laws or dictating orders. He was writing to himself. Words not meant for history, but for healing. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In those words lies one of the deepest Stoic truths, that peace is not found in the world, but in our perception of it. This chapter, The Discipline of Desire, is where Donald Robertson reveals how Marcus learned to detach from destructive emotions, find freedom from craving, and live in harmony with what life gives and takes away. The Roots of Desire. Marcus didn't live in a monastery. He lived in a palace filled with temptation, wealth, pleasure, flattery, and luxury. Yet he lived like a monk inside an empire. He slept on simple beds, ate plain food, and reminded himself daily that everything he owned could vanish tomorrow. Why? Because Marcus understood what desire truly is, a trap disguised as pleasure. In Meditations, he warned himself, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." Desire colors the soul. It stains the mind with longing, jealousy, and dissatisfaction. When you crave what's beyond your control, money, status, approval, you chain your happiness to chance. Lesson 1. True freedom is inner freedom. The Stoics taught that freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means not being ruled by what you want. Marcus learned this from Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, who said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. A man who served others all his life was freer than kings because no one controlled his mind. Marcus applied this principle ruthlessly. As emperor, he could have indulged every whim, but instead he practiced restraint. He refused to let pleasure own him. He wrote, "You will find rest from vain fancies if you perform every act in life as though it were your last." Modern application. When you crave something, recognition, revenge, or reward, ask, is this serving my peace or stealing it? Every craving has a cost. freedom begins the moment you can walk away from what doesn't serve your mind. Lesson 2. The discipline of desire in action. Marcus wasn't suppressing emotions, he was transforming them. He practiced what Donald Robertson calls the cognitive reframing of passion. When he felt anger rising, he didn't explode. He stepped back and said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." When he felt loss, he reminded himself, "When you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, 'She may not be here tomorrow.'" That sounds cold, but it's not. It's radical acceptance. It's the practice of loving deeply without attachment. Marcus wasn't numbing himself, he was freeing himself. He understood that the only lasting peace comes from loving people and things without clinging to them. Modern application. If you want to love fully, love without fear of loss. If you want to be strong, feel deeply without letting emotions rule you. That's what Stoics called apatheia, not apathy, but peaceful strength. Lesson 3. The tyranny of more. Even as Emperor Marcus often felt the seductive whisper of more victories, more praise, more control. But he realized that the pursuit of more never ends. It only multiplies desire. He wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within you, in your way of thinking." Marcus's wealth wasn't gold. It was contentment. He discovered what the Stoics called eudaimonia, a flourishing life based not on possessions, but on purpose. Modern application. In today's world of endless scrolling, comparison, and consumerism, Marcus's lesson hits harder than ever. You'll never win the game of more. The only way to win is to stop playing. Gratitude is rebellion in a world built on greed. Lesson 4. Transforming passion into purpose. Marcus didn't destroy passion, he redirected it. He turned the fire of desire into fuel for virtue. When he wanted comfort, he chose courage. When he wanted praise, he chose service. When he wanted control, he chose acceptance. He transformed energy into excellence. He used emotion as a weapon for wisdom. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Modern application. Don't fight your emotions, guide them. Turn anger into action, desire into discipline, grief into gratitude. Let your feelings push you forward, not pull you down. Major takeaways from Chapter 3. Freedom isn't doing what you want, it's mastering what you want. Desire chains the soul, detachment frees it. Love without fear, live without craving, act without expectation. Happiness is found in acceptance, not accumulation. Practical Stoic exercises. The enough reflection. Each night, ask yourself, what did I chase today that I didn't truly need? Then remind yourself, you already have enough to live well. Negative visualization. Visualize losing what you value most, your job, possessions, or even relationships. Not to create fear, but to create appreciation. When you imagine loss, you stop taking what you love for granted. Desire detox. For one day each week, deny yourself one pleasure, sugar, social media, or shopping. Notice how your cravings fade when you stop feeding them. That's real freedom, the kind Marcus lived by. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, but his true victory wasn't over nations. It was over himself. Donald Robertson reminds us that you don't need to be an emperor to live like one, because every day you have the same choice Marcus did, to chase desire or to choose peace.
Chapter 4. The Discipline of Action. Doing what must be done. The morning mist hung heavy over the Danube frontier. The camp stirred awake, soldiers sharpening swords, horses stamping the cold ground. And there, among them, walked the emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius, not in royal robes, but in armor, his face lined with sleepless thought. He wasn't just a commander of men. He was a commander of himself. Each morning, before facing battle, he recited the same reminder. At dawn, when you wake unwillingly, think, I am rising to do the work of a human being. This chapter, The Discipline of Action, explores how Marcus learned that life's purpose is not to think endlessly, but to act rightly, even when fear, fatigue, or failure whisper otherwise. Lesson 1. Action is the core of virtue. The Stoics divided philosophy into 3 disciplines: desire, action, and assent. How to want wisely, act justly, and think clearly. Action, for Marcus, was the bridge between what he believed and who he became. In Meditations, he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This was more than a quote. It was his battle command to himself. Marcus understood that knowledge without action is paralysis. Philosophy without deeds is hypocrisy. Modern application. We live in an age of overthinking, of endless plans, goals, and procrastination. But Stoicism calls us to act now, to do the right thing, not tomorrow, not when it feels right, but now. Lesson 2. Duty over emotion. Marcus was constantly at war, not just with enemies, but with his own heart. He faced betrayal, plague, rebellion, and the deaths of his children. And yet he acted with calm, not because he felt no pain, but because he did not let pain dictate his duty. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple words, but imagine the strength they required from a man surrounded by politics and deceit. Even when his co-emperor Lucius Verus died, likely from indulgence and illness, Marcus mourned quietly, buried him with honor, and returned to work. He didn't retreat into despair. He returned to service. This is the discipline of action, doing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. Modern application. When life overwhelms you, when motivation fades, act from duty, not desire. Show up, speak truth, keep promises. Character is not built in comfort, it's forged in consistency. Lesson 3. The Stoic Leader. Marcus led one of the most powerful armies in the world, yet he ruled not with fear, but with fairness. He once told his generals, "Let us show them that we are not driven by anger, but guided by reason." Donald Robertson describes how Marcus practiced Stoic leadership, a balance between compassion and firmness. He treated every decision as an act of moral responsibility. When soldiers were exhausted, Marcus shared his hardships, sleeping in tents, eating the same food, enduring the same cold. He didn't demand virtue, he modeled it. And in doing so, he turned philosophy into power. Modern application. In your workplace, your family, your life, lead like Marcus. Act not for applause, but for alignment with your values. Be the calm in chaos, the reason in reaction, the strength others rely on. Meditation 4. The Inner Warrior. Mastery over distraction. Even as emperor, Marcus fought a quiet war, not against enemies, but against distraction. Every message, every messenger, every crisis pulled at his focus. Yet through Stoic training, he learned the art of single-minded presence. He wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a man on doing what is in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness." This is Stoic mindfulness in action, to give full attention to the task before you without anxiety about the past or future. For Marcus, philosophy was not abstract, it was a method of focus. Every thought, every deed was to be done as though the gods themselves were watching. Modern application.
In our distracted world, this is more valuable than ever. Turn off the noise. Do one thing well. Ask, what is required of me in this moment? Then do it fully. Injection 5. Aligning action with nature. The Stoics believed that to live well is to live in accordance with nature, not the trees and rivers, but the nature of reason, harmony, and justice that binds all things. Marcus wrote, "What does not benefit the hive cannot benefit the bee." He saw himself not as a ruler above others, but as a part of the whole. Every action he took had to serve the greater good, not personal gain. This sense of universal duty gave him calm in the storm. Even when Rome was crumbling under war and plague, Marcus reminded himself, "Do your duty and let the rest go." Modern application. We too can find peace and purpose. When your actions serve something larger, your community, your family, your principles, fear fades, because even failure becomes meaningful. Major takeaways from Chapter 4. Don't just think like a Stoic, act like one. Duty is stronger than emotion. Virtue is stronger than comfort. Leadership begins with self-command. Focus is a moral act. Give your full self to what is in front of you. Purpose turns work into worship. Practical Stoic exercises. The morning reflection. Each day, begin with Marcus's reminder. Today I will meet interference, ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, jealousy, and selfishness, all from those who cannot tell good from evil. Say it, then go into your day prepared to act with integrity, not irritation. One act of excellence. Choose one small action each day to perform with complete attention, whether it's washing dishes or leading a meeting. Excellence in small things strengthens excellence in all things. Duty over mood. When you feel unmotivated, ask, what would the best version of me do right now? Then do it, not for reward, but for self-respect. The leadership mirror. At night, reflect. Did my actions today serve the greater good? If yes, rest in peace. If not, resolve to correct it tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius taught us that the world doesn't need more dreamers, it needs more doers. Men and women who act from principle, not pressure. Who rise, as he did, each morning ready to serve, ready to act, ready to live by reason and virtue. Because, in the end, philosophy means nothing until it's lived.
Chapter 5. The Discipline of Ascent. Mastering the Mind, Conquering the Chaos. Night had fallen over the Roman camp. The sound of distant thunder rolled over the horizon. Inside his tent, lit only by a flickering lamp, Marcus Aurelius sat alone, writing. His general slept. The soldiers dreamed of home. But the emperor wrestled not with enemies, but with his own thoughts. He wrote to himself, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought, for the human spirit is colored by such impressions." This was the essence of Stoicism's discipline of ascent, the idea that our suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. Donald Robertson connects this ancient idea to modern psychology, showing how Marcus practiced what today we'd call cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. He trained his mind to pause before reacting, to challenge false beliefs, and to choose calm over chaos. Mind. Lesson 1. You are not your thoughts. In the midst of stress, anger, or fear, Marcus reminded himself, if you were distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Think about that. A plague could wipe out half of Rome. An army could betray him. But the only true danger was losing control of his own mind.
Marcus understood that the world is neutral. It's our interpretation that gives it power. So he practiced detaching from automatic thoughts, observing them like clouds drifting by. Modern application. When anxiety strikes, stop and ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it true, or just a fearful projection? You can't always control what happens, but you can control what you tell yourself about it, and that changes everything. Sword. Lesson 2. The pause between thought and reaction. Marcus had every reason to be angry. Betrayal in the Senate, corruption in the army, even conspiracies within his own family. Yet he trained himself to pause before responding. He'd ask, silently, is this under my control or not? That one question became his mental shield. It separated the things worth fighting for from the illusions that drained his energy. This was the Stoic equivalent of what psychologists now call cognitive distancing, creating a gap between stimulus and response. Modern application. Before reacting to stress, slow down. Take one deep breath. Ask, is this under my control? If yes, act wisely. If no, let it go. That pause is where all your power lies. Puzzle. Lesson 3. Don't believe every impression. Marcus learned from Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher, that impressions, our first thoughts, are not always trustworthy. Epictetus said, do not be carried away by the appearance of things. Marcus took this literally. When he felt fear, he'd remind himself, it's just an impression, not the truth. When anger rose, he'd say, this emotion is a messenger, not a master. He visualized emotions as wild horses, powerful but only dangerous if left untamed. Modern application. Every day we're bombarded by impressions, social media, opinions, headlines. Most are exaggerated, misleading, or emotionally charged. Train your mind to slow down before accepting any of them. Ask, what's the evidence? What's the truth? Candle. Lesson 4. The inner citadel, protecting your peace. Marcus often described his mind as a citadel, a fortress that no external force could invade unless he opened the gates. The mind is its own place and can make a heaven of hell a hell of heaven. Within that fortress, he cultivated calm through meditation and reason. He would picture himself rising above events, seeing them from a cosmic view where his personal troubles seemed small against the vastness of the universe. Donald Robertson highlights how this technique mirrors modern mindfulness, training the mind to observe without judgment, to stay anchored in the present moment. Modern application. Imagine your mind as a fortress. When anger or fear approaches, picture closing the gate. Let reason stand guard. Remind yourself, no one can disturb your peace unless you let them. Yoga. Lesson 5. Reframing. Turning problems into training. Marcus faced every hardship as a test. When the plague devastated Rome, he didn't curse fate. He asked, what virtue can I practice right now? Patience in sickness, compassion in fear, strength in loss. He wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This timeless Stoic lesson, later echoed in modern self-help as the obstacle is the way, came straight from Marcus's daily practice of reframing challenges as opportunities for growth. Modern application. When something goes wrong, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this here to teach me? That one shift in thinking transforms pain into purpose. Philosophy. Lesson 6. Philosophy as mental training. Marcus didn't just read Stoic ideas, he practiced them daily. Each morning, he prepared for the day with rational reflection. Each evening, he reviewed his behavior. Where did I fall short?
What can I do better tomorrow? This routine built a powerful loop of self-awareness and self-correction. Donald Robertson compares this to mental fitness training: repetition, reflection, refinement. Just as a soldier trains his body, a philosopher trains his mind. Modern application: create a Stoic habit loop. Morning: prepare your mind. Visualize potential challenges calmly. Daytime: act with awareness. Use your pause before reacting. Evening: reflect honestly. Ask where you lost control and how you'll do better next time. Major takeaways from Chapter 5. You are not your thoughts, you're the observer of them. Your interpretation, not the event, causes distress. Pause between impulse and action. That's where wisdom lives. Guard your mental fortress. Peace is an inside job. Every obstacle is training for your soul. Practical Stoic exercises. The view from above. Once a day, close your eyes and imagine seeing your life from a bird's eye view. Your city, your country, the earth itself. Notice how small today's worries really are. Thought journal. Write down your most frequent negative thoughts. Challenge them logically. Is this fact or fear? Replace them with a rational alternative. Cognitive distancing. When you feel anger, say to yourself, I'm noticing that I'm feeling angry. That small shift turns emotion into observation, and observation into control. The 3-second rule. Before reacting to anything emotionally, take 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, breathe. Ask, what's in my control? Then act accordingly. Marcus Aurelius mastered the art of mental sovereignty, the ability to remain calm, rational, and free no matter what chaos surrounded him. He couldn't stop wars, plagues, or loss, but he could command his thoughts, and that made him the most powerful man in the world, not because he ruled an empire, but because he ruled himself.
Chapter 6. The Discipline of Desire, Learning What Truly Matters. The Roman Empire stretched from the deserts of Egypt to the misty hills of Britain. Wealth, glory, and power beyond imagination. Yet in the heart of this empire, the man who ruled it all, Marcus Aurelius, lived simply. He slept on a modest cot. He ate coarse bread and olives. He wore plain robes instead of jewels. Why? Because Marcus had discovered one of the hardest lessons in life. True happiness isn't found in getting everything you want, but in wanting less. This chapter, The Discipline of Desire, explores how Marcus Aurelius learned to desire wisely, to distinguish between what he wanted and what truly mattered. It's about the Stoic art of wanting only what depends on you and letting go of everything that doesn't. Lesson 1. The root of all suffering, misplaced desire. In his Meditations, Marcus wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." He saw that most of our pain comes not from what happens, but from wanting things we can't control: people's approval, success, wealth, or comfort. The Stoics divided life into 2 realms: what's up to us, our thoughts, actions, values, and what's not up to us, everything else. Desire becomes dangerous when it clings to the second category. Marcus had everything: power, riches, and prestige. Yet he was surrounded by examples of men destroyed by their desires. Generals who betrayed Rome for gold. Senators who lied for status. Citizens who wasted life chasing pleasures that vanished like smoke. So he trained his mind to desire only virtue: wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. Modern application. We live in an age of endless craving, notifications, possessions, comparison. But the Stoic asks, is this necessary? When you stop needing everything, you begin to enjoy anything. Lesson 2. Wealth without wisdom is poverty. Marcus's adoptive father, Emperor Antoninus Pius, lived simply despite vast wealth. He taught Marcus that discipline is wealth's highest ornament. Robertson describes how Marcus admired this simplicity. Antoninus never chased luxury. He ruled calmly, worked hard, and served others. Marcus followed his example. He gave generously, refused excessive luxury, and reminded himself daily, don't set your heart on what you don't have. Instead, count the blessings you do have. He knew that possessions are like sand. The tighter you hold them, the faster they slip away. Modern application. True wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by what you can live without. Buy things to use them, not to be seen using them. And remember, gratitude turns what you have into enough. Lesson 3. The illusion of control. Marcus lost many people he loved, his wife, several children, and close friends. Through grief, he discovered that love without attachment is the purest love. He wrote, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, 'Tomorrow he may die.' Yet this thought does not darken your joy, but teaches you to love more deeply without illusion." It sounds cold to modern ears, but Marcus wasn't being cruel. He was training himself to love fully without clinging, because clinging turns love into fear. The Stoics taught that life is borrowed, not owned. We are guests at the table of the universe. Enjoy the feast, but don't cry when the dishes are cleared. Modern application. Practice non-attachment, not indifference. Enjoy people, possessions, and moments, but don't depend on them for happiness. Everything is temporary. Peace comes from accepting that truth. Lesson 4. Nature's order. Accept what happens. One night, after a long day at war, Marcus looked up at the stars and wrote, "All that happens is as familiar and natural as the rose in spring and the fruit in summer." This is the Stoic art of acceptance, understanding that every event, even suffering, has a place in the larger design of nature. Marcus didn't mean we should passively accept injustice or pain. He meant we should stop wasting energy resisting reality. When we stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "What now?" we turn frustration into flow. Modern application. Next time life doesn't go as planned, instead of fighting it, flow with it. Ask, what's this moment asking of me? Acceptance isn't surrender, it's strength. Lesson 5. Freedom from craving. Marcus believed the freest man was not the emperor, but the one who needed nothing. The man who has few desires is nearest to the gods. Every craving, for praise, pleasure, or power, tightens the chains around your spirit. But every moment of restraint strengthens your freedom. Donald Robertson explains that this Stoic insight overlaps with modern psychology. The less you depend on external rewards, the more you become resilient. Modern application. Practice small acts of voluntary discomfort. Skip a luxury meal. Take a cold shower. Go a day without your phone. These aren't punishments, they're training sessions for the mind. You're reminding yourself that comfort is optional, but self-control is priceless.
Major takeaways from Chapter 6. Desire only what depends on you. Let go of what doesn't. Wealth and pleasure are neutral. Wisdom gives them meaning. Attachment creates suffering. Gratitude creates peace. Acceptance is not weakness, it's mental clarity. Freedom is not having everything, it's needing nothing. Meditation practices. The view of enough. Every morning, list 3 simple things that make life good: breath, health, someone you love. This trains your mind to see abundance in simplicity. Negative visualization. Imagine losing something you take for granted: your home, your phone, your loved one. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation. You'll cherish more deeply and cling less fiercely. The circle of control. When something troubles you, draw 2 circles. Inside the first, write what's in your control. Outside, what's not. Then focus all energy only on the inner circle. The Simple Day Challenge. Spend 1 day each week living like Marcus. Eat simply, avoid luxuries, speak little, reflect deeply. You'll discover how light life feels when you carry less. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire in the world, yet his greatest conquest was over himself. He learned that no crown, no wealth, no victory could give what self-mastery gives: peace. He understood that the most powerful man is the one who desires nothing more than to live in harmony with nature and virtue. And that is why, even after centuries, we still remember not just his rule, but his wisdom. Because when desire ends, freedom begins. Chapter 7. Facing Death: How Marcus Found Peace in Mortality. The night was quiet over the Danube frontier. The campfires burned low, and the emperor sat alone, gazing into the darkness. At his side lay a wax tablet half filled with his own handwriting, a reflection that would echo through centuries. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the known world, was dying. The plague had returned, his body was weak, and the empire trembled on the edge of chaos. But his mind, calm, clear, and unbroken, was free. This chapter explores one of Stoicism's most profound practices: the contemplation of death, not as morbid obsession, but as liberation. Donald Robertson shows how Marcus used this awareness not to fear life's end, but to live more fiercely, more lovingly, and more meaningfully while he could. Lesson 1. Memento mori. Remember you must die. In ancient Rome, when a general returned victorious, slaves whispered behind him, "Memento mori." Remember, you must die. It was a reminder, even glory fades. Aurelius embraced this truth fully. To him, death was not an enemy but a teacher, the greatest philosopher of all. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. He saw that the fear of death is the root of most human suffering, the anxiety that drives greed, pride, and distraction. But when you truly accept death, life becomes lighter. Every moment glows with meaning. Modern application. Most people run from thoughts of death. They hide behind busyness and entertainment. But Marcus would tell you, face it. Think of your mortality not with fear, but with gratitude, because knowing that time is short makes every sunrise sacred. Every morning, he had him be awoken with the words, "Sir, you must travel." This was a reminder. Just as Sir Pools was striving for excellence, so must you in your own life. Modern application. Set a recurring reminder on your phone or put a sticky note on your computer that reads, "Sir, you must travel." It could be for work, for family, or even for personal growth. This won't remind you that you need to get somewhere, but that you must be actively engaged in your life and in your goals.
Lesson 3. Accepting nature's law. Marcus believed that death is not a punishment. It's part of the natural order. Everything that's born must return. The sun sets, the river flows, the leaf falls, and yet life goes on. All that you see will soon perish, and those who see it will perish also. Only one thing is worth loving: to live rightly and to act justly. Robertson describes how Marcus used this perspective to transform fear into peace. He accepted that life and death are not opposites. They're partners in nature's rhythm. To resist death is to resist life itself. Modern application. When you lose something or someone, remember, the universe isn't taking, it's returning. What was given had its season. Grief is love with nowhere to go,
and acceptance is how love learns to rest. Lesson 4. Legacy and the Ego's Illusion. Even as emperor, Marcus reminded himself that fame and memory are illusions. All of us are creatures of a day. The rememberer and the remembered alike soon pass away. The pyramids crumble. The marble fades. Names once shouted in the Senate are now dust in the wind. Marcus saw the futility of chasing immortality through legacy. He believed the only thing that lasts is virtue, the quality of one's soul. Not what people say about you, but who you truly are when no one's watching. Modern application. Social media tells us we're valuable only if we're visible. But Marcus would tell you, don't chase applause, chase alignment. Be more concerned with the truth of your character than the echo of your reputation.
Lesson 5. Dying daily. To prepare for death, Marcus practiced dying every day, not physically, but philosophically. Each night he reviewed his actions and asked, if this were my last day, would I be proud? This wasn't about morbidity, it was about clarity. By imagining life's end, he stripped away trivial worries and focused on what mattered: kindness, justice, courage, and wisdom. Donald Robertson connects this to modern psychological resilience. People who make peace with mortality live with less anxiety and greater presence. Modern application. Try this Stoic exercise. Every night, before bed, reflect on your day. If you knew you wouldn't wake up, would you be satisfied with how you spent it? If not, fix that tomorrow, because one day you won't get another tomorrow. Lesson 6. Death as transformation. Marcus viewed death not as destruction, but as transformation, a return to the whole. What dies does not vanish, it changes form. He saw himself as part of something eternal, the cosmos, the great pattern of existence. The atoms that formed his body once belonged to stars and oceans, and someday they'd belong to something else. This gave him serenity, the sense that nothing truly ends, it only changes shape. Modern application. When faced with loss, remind yourself, endings feed beginnings. Everything you lose nourishes what comes next. Death is not the opposite of life, it's the rhythm that gives life meaning. Major takeaways from Chapter 7. Remember death and live more fully because of it. Presence is the antidote to fear. Acceptance of nature's order brings peace. Virtue outlasts legacy. Reflect daily. Die to what doesn't matter. Death is transformation, not annihilation. Practical Stoic exercises. Memento Mori meditation. Each morning, spend 1 minute thinking, I could leave life today. Let this sharpen your focus, not darken your spirit. The Last Act practice. Do one simple act each day, a conversation, a meal, a task, as if it were your last. You'll find deeper gratitude and presence in everything. Legacy inventory. Write down what you want to be remembered for. Then ask, am I living that way today? Gratitude in loss. When something ends, a job, a relationship, a season, say, thank you for existing. Gratitude turns finality into beauty. In his final days, Marcus Aurelius didn't fear death. He faced it with the same quiet dignity that had guided his life. He had learned that the goal was never to live forever, but to live right now as if eternity depended on this moment. And when his time finally came, he smiled, because he had mastered the art that few ever do. He had learned how to die before dying, and in doing so, learned how to truly live. Chapter 8. The View from Above, Seeing Life Through the Eyes of the Gods. It's dawn over the battlefield. The emperor stands at the edge of his tent, gazing over the horizon. The earth below him is covered in fog, his legions moving like tiny shadows through the mist. For a moment, Marcus Aurelius closes his eyes and lifts his mind above it all. He imagines rising higher and higher, past the camps, past the forests, past the mountains. From up here, the empires look small, the cities smaller still, and the men who fight over them smaller than dust. Look down from above, he wrote, and see herds, armies, festivals, marriages, births, and deaths, a mere changing of masks. This is the view from above, a Stoic meditation that changes everything. A mental flight beyond your own ego, above the noise of daily life, into the quiet of cosmic perspective. Lesson 1. Rise above the ego. Marcus knew that most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our tiny point of view. We take everything personally. We get offended, jealous, fearful, as if the universe revolves around us. But from the view from above, everything shifts. Your problems, the traffic, the deadlines, the arguments, shrink in the vastness of existence. You see that your story is one thread in an infinite tapestry. How small a part of infinite time is assigned to each of us, and how small a part of the whole universe. Marcus realized that humility isn't weakness, it's freedom. When you stop believing you're the center of the world, you finally start to see the world. Modern application. Next time you're caught in anger or self-pity, pause and imagine zooming out. See yourself from 100 feet above, then 1,000, then from space. Would this problem still matter in that vastness? Probably not. That's not nihilism, that's clarity. Lesson 2, the cosmic web. From above, everything connects. Marcus saw the world as one living organism, where every part, big or small, plays a role in the harmony of the whole. All things are woven together. A sacred bond unites them. This wasn't just poetry, it was a revelation of interdependence, that your actions ripple across the universe. Kindness travels, so does cruelty. When Marcus faced rebellion or betrayal, he reminded himself, every person, even an enemy, acts according to their understanding of good. That doesn't excuse their actions, but it helps you see the bigger picture. Modern application. Before judging someone harshly, take the view from above. See them as part of the same human family, flawed, struggling, doing their best. This perspective transforms anger into empathy. We're all connected in ways we can't even see, socially, biologically, emotionally. Understanding that is the beginning of wisdom.
Lesson 3. The fragility and beauty of life. When Marcus looked down on the world from his mental heights, he saw not despair, but wonder. Yes, life is fleeting. Yes, everything fades. But that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Everything is in flux, and life is but a river flowing swiftly by. From above, you see life not as tragedy, but as a grand dance, a brief, brilliant performance in the theater of time. Modern application. Think about it. How often do we ruin the present by chasing something we don't have, or fearing something we might lose? The view from above reminds us nothing is truly ours. We're just here for a while, witnessing the miracle of existence. So savor it. Every sound, every face, every sunset. That's not detachment, that's deep appreciation. Lesson 4. Seeing yourself as a citizen of the universe. Marcus Aurelius didn't see himself just as a Roman, or even as an emperor. He saw himself as a citizen of the cosmos. As Antonellus, my city is Rome, but as a man, it is the world. This Stoic identity, the idea that we belong not to a tribe, but to humanity itself, was revolutionary. It's what allowed him to act with compassion, even toward those who betrayed him. He saw every human as a fragment of the same divine reason, logos. Modern application. Today, our world is more connected than ever, yet more divided. We define ourselves by race, politics, religion, nationality. But the view from above dissolves those boundaries. It reminds us, beneath the flags and labels, we all share the same fragile breath, the same fate, the same sky. When you see yourself as part of one global soul, your perspective widens and your compassion deepens. Emotional detachment versus empathic clarity. Many people misunderstand Stoicism. They think it means not caring, but that's not what Marcus practiced. He didn't suppress emotion, he refined it. The view from above wasn't about cold detachment, it was about emotional clarity. When you rise above, you don't stop feeling. You stop drowning in feelings. You gain the space to respond wisely instead of reacting blindly. It is not external things that trouble us, but our judgments about them. When you're overwhelmed, pause, breathe, zoom out. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How does this fit into the larger whole?" This one shift can turn chaos into serenity and suffering into serenity. Major takeaways from Chapter 8. Zooming out changes everything. Perspective kills ego. We are all part of one living cosmos. Nothing stands alone. Life's fragility is what makes it precious. True wisdom is seeing yourself as a citizen of the world. Emotional mastery comes from perspective, not suppression. Practical Stoic exercises. The view from above meditation. Close your eyes and imagine rising above your body, first the room, then your city, then the earth. Watch your problems shrink until they're barely visible. Then, look down on the world with love, knowing every soul is struggling just like you. Universal gratitude. Each morning, whisper, "I am part of the universe, and the universe is part of me." Feel that truth. It's grounding, humbling, and empowering. The small self-reminder. When you're angry or stressed, visualize yourself from the stars. See how small this moment is, yet how important your peace can be. Final reflection. The view from above is more than a mental trick. It's a spiritual elevation, a way of remembering who you are and who you're not. From up there, the things that weigh you down, envy, fear, pride, lose their grip. You see how fragile life is, how vast the universe is, and how sacred every breath truly feels. And when you return to your body, to your small corner of the world, you carry with you something the gods themselves would envy, a mind that can rise above anything.
Chapter 9. The Stoic Warrior, Living with Courage and Purpose. The cold wind howled across the northern frontier. The Roman soldiers stood in silence as their emperor rode past them, armor gleaming, face calm, eyes steady. Marcus Aurelius was not the kind of ruler who hid behind palace walls. He led from the front. And yet, beneath the helmet of a warrior was not a man of rage, but a philosopher, a Stoic, who had trained his mind as fiercely as his body. In this chapter, Donald Robertson reveals how Marcus embodied the Stoic warrior spirit, the courage to face life's chaos with calm, to act with purpose in the face of fear, and to stand firm even when the world shakes. Because for Marcus, courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was doing the right thing despite it. The battle within. Before any battle was won on the field, it was won inside the mind. Marcus knew this better than anyone. He fought not only against invading tribes, but against despair, anxiety, and exhaustion. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Every day was a test of this truth. When plague struck his army, when betrayal rose in the Senate, when illness weakened his body, Marcus stood firm, not because life was easy, but because he'd mastered his inner battlefield. He practiced the Stoic idea of premeditation malorum, the premeditation of misfortunes. Before every campaign, he'd imagine what could go wrong, defeat, disease, even death, and prepare his soul to endure it calmly. That's how courage is born, not by ignoring fear, but by rehearsing it in your mind until it loses its bite. Modern application.
Before a big challenge, a presentation, a breakup, a loss, take a few minutes and visualize the worst possible outcome. Then remind yourself, even that I can endure. You'll feel your fear dissolve into quiet strength. Duty over comfort. Marcus lived by one of the oldest Roman virtues, duty or officium. To him, a true leader doesn't chase comfort. He chooses responsibility even when it hurts. He once wrote, "Stop being aimless. Stop letting your emotions pull you around like a puppet. Do what nature demands." When plague hit Rome, nobles fled the city, but Marcus stayed, comforting the sick, organizing relief, selling palace treasures to feed his people. That's courage in its highest form, moral bravery. Courage isn't loud, it's not reckless, it's quiet strength, the decision to do what's right even when no one's watching. Modern application. Ask yourself, what's my duty? Is it being a better parent, a better student, a kinder human? Do that, even when it's hard, because the Stoic warrior doesn't run from discomfort, he runs toward purpose. Fear as a teacher. Marcus didn't deny fear, he studied it. He understood that fear is simply imagination, our mind projecting shadows into the future. Today I escaped from anxiety, or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Fear loses its power the moment you see it for what it really is, a thought, not a fact. Donald Robertson connects this directly to modern cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. By observing our fears instead of reacting to them, we weaken their hold on us. That's exactly what Marcus did 2,000 years ago. He reframed his thoughts. Modern application. Next time you're scared, write your fear down. Ask, is this true or just my imagination? When you name fear, it shrinks. When you face fear, it teaches.
Lesson 4. The purpose of pain. Marcus once said that pain is neither good nor bad, it simply is. What matters is what you make of it. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. When his body ached from illness, he practiced endurance. When life hurt, he used the pain to grow his patience, compassion, and strength. That's the Stoic secret. Pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. Modern application. Think of every struggle you faced, heartbreak, failure, loss. Now realize each one shaped your strength. The Stoic warrior doesn't ask, why me? He asks, what is this trying to teach me? That shift turns suffering into wisdom. Lesson 5. Courage through character. Marcus Aurelius believed that courage wasn't just physical, it was moral integrity. Courage meant staying kind in a cruel world, calm in a noisy one, and honest in a corrupt one. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. That's what made him a warrior, not his sword, but his soul. He stood against greed in the Senate, cruelty in the palace, and despair in himself. He led with compassion, not because he was soft, but because he was strong enough to stay human in a world that rewarded cruelty. Modern application? Courage today might mean speaking up for someone being mistreated, or standing by your principles even when you stand alone, or staying gentle in a world that tells you to be hard. That's Stoic courage. Quiet, steady, unshakable. Lesson 6. The warrior's calm. The Stoic warrior doesn't charge into battle with rage, he enters with stillness. Marcus wrote, "A real man should be calm, unshaken, and free from passion like a strong fortress that no storm can move." He believed anger clouds judgment, so he trained himself to respond with reason, not emotion, to be the eye of the storm, not swept away by it. Donald Robertson compares this to modern soldiers and first responders who practice combat breathing to stay calm under fire.
Marcus did the same through Stoic mindfulness. Modern application: when chaos strikes, breathe slow. 4 seconds in, hold for 4, out for 4, then act, not react. That's the calm courage of a true Stoic. Major takeaways from Chapter 9. Courage begins in the mind, not the battlefield. Face fear through preparation and reason. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Duty is greater than comfort. Character is the truest form of strength. Calmness is power. Practical Stoic exercises. Premeditatio malorum. Visualize potential setbacks for the day: missed calls, rejection, failure. Accept them mentally before they happen, and nothing can shake you. Fear journal. Write down what scares you. Then logically challenge each fear. Most will dissolve under the light of reason. Duty challenge. Choose one uncomfortable task that aligns with your purpose and do it without delay. Courage is built through repetition. Combat breathing. When stressed, breathe like a Stoic warrior. 4 seconds in, hold for 4, out for 4, pause. Calm the body, calm the mind. Final reflection. Marcus Aurelius didn't wear his armor to appear invincible. He wore it to remind himself that life is a battlefield, and the fight isn't against others, but against weakness, fear, and distraction. Courage, he discovered, isn't a roar. It's the steady heartbeat that whispers, "I will face this." And when the emperor's sword finally rested, history didn't remember his victories in war. It remembered his victory over himself. Because in the end, the strongest warrior isn't the one who conquers nations, it's the one who conquers his own mind.
Chapter 10. The Philosopher King, Mastering the Art of Inner Freedom. It was said that Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth, but in truth, he ruled something far greater: himself. He commanded legions, governed millions, and held power over life and death. Yet unlike most rulers, he never became a prisoner of power. Because Marcus had learned the ultimate Stoic lesson. Freedom isn't found in control over others, but in control over yourself. As his life neared its final season, Marcus wrote not of conquest or riches, but of peace. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This chapter is the culmination of his journey, from student to emperor, from man to sage. A blueprint for how to live free, no matter your circumstances. Lesson 1. Freedom begins with the mind. Marcus believed that no one can enslave a free mind. Not war, not sickness, not loss, because true chains are forged in thought. You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has power over my will. Freedom to Marcus meant mastering your judgments, the interpretations that turn events into suffering. Things aren't good or bad by themselves. It's how we see them that shapes our reality. This insight wasn't just philosophy. It was survival. When the Antonine Plague swept through the empire, Marcus could not stop death. But he could control his response. He could act with wisdom, compassion, and calm, while others drowned in fear. Modern application. Freedom today isn't about escaping obligations or quitting your job to travel. It's about inner stability, the ability to remain peaceful no matter what's happening around you. The next time life feels out of control, repeat Marcus's mantra. I cannot control what happens, but I can control how I respond. That's the first act of real freedom. Lesson 2. Detachment from desire.
Marcus saw how desire enslaves us, the endless craving for more money, more recognition, more comfort. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Even as emperor, he lived simply. He slept on a hard cot while servants waited with gold and silk. He chose discipline over indulgence, not because he hated pleasure, but because he refused to be ruled by it. He understood that the more you need, the less you own your peace. Modern application. Consumer culture sells the illusion that happiness is out there, but Stoicism teaches the opposite. Simplify, detach, want less. Find joy in what's already in your hands. That's the quiet rebellion of a free soul. Lesson 3. Serenity through acceptance. Freedom to Marcus wasn't rebellion against reality. It was harmony with it. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. He accepted fate not as fatalism, but as faith, the belief that everything unfolds as part of a greater design. Even loss, pain, and death served a purpose in the grand order of the cosmos. Acceptance gave him serenity, because resistance is suffering, but harmony is peace. Modern application. You don't have to like what happens, but you can stop fighting it. When you accept reality, you gain power over your reaction. Try whispering Marcus's words when life feels unfair. It's not what I wanted, but perhaps it's what I needed. That mindset can turn every hardship into an opportunity for growth.
Lesson 4. Integrity over image. Marcus could have ruled like a tyrant. No one could stop him. But he refused, because Stoic freedom comes from virtue, not vanity. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. He didn't chase approval or applause. He led with honesty, humility, and self-restraint, even when it made him unpopular. Donald Robertson points out that this kind of moral independence is the highest form of freedom. When your actions align with your values, you don't need validation. You sleep peacefully because your conscience is clean. Modern application. In today's world of likes, followers, and fake success, remember, freedom isn't being admired, it's being authentic. Choose character over image, and you'll never be anyone's puppet. Lesson 5. Service as strength. Marcus didn't see freedom as isolation. He saw it as service without attachment. A free person acts for the good of others, not for reward or recognition. What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. Even as his body weakened, he worked tirelessly for his people. That's the paradox of Stoicism. The freer you are inside, the more you care for the world outside. Because you act from love, not fear. Modern application. Serve without expecting anything back. Help someone quietly. Give without being seen. That's the Stoic way, to do good because it's good, not because it's noticed. Service is not slavery, it's strength. Lesson 6. The final freedom, facing death with peace. Marcus's last days were spent in a military camp near the Danube. He knew his time was near, and yet he faced death not with dread, but with calm acceptance. Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back. To him, death wasn't an ending, but a transformation, the dissolving of his soul back into the cosmos from which it came. He'd lived his life as a philosopher, and he died as one, quietly, with gratitude for every moment. Freedom, he realized, isn't about how long you live. It's about how you live until you die. Modern application. Think of your own mortality not to fear it, but to focus your life. If this year were your last, what would you do differently? What grudges would you drop? What dreams would you chase? That's the gift of Stoic freedom, clarity through impermanence. Major takeaways from Chapter 10. True freedom starts in the mind. Desire enslaves, simplicity liberates. Acceptance brings serenity. Virtue is the highest power. Service strengthens the soul. Facing death completes freedom. Practical Stoic exercises. Inner freedom check. Every morning, ask, what today is within my control? Focus only on that. Let the rest go. Desire detox. Pick one desire, a purchase, a craving, or a distraction, and resist it for 24 hours. Notice how free you feel when you don't obey impulse. Acceptance practice. When something annoys you, say silently, "It's outside my control." Then breathe and move forward in peace. Memento mori reflection. Spend 1 minute each night remembering that life is finite. Let it sharpen your gratitude, not your fear. Act with integrity. Before any decision, ask, would Marcus be proud of this? If the answer is yes, do it boldly. Final reflection, the freedom no one can take. In the end, Marcus Aurelius taught us that the greatest empire is not Rome, it's the kingdom within. Power fades, wealth fades, even memory fades. But the freedom to choose your thoughts, your words, and your actions, that remains unshakable. He was a warrior, a ruler, and a sage. But above all, he was a free man, because his happiness depended nothing outside his own soul. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And that, perhaps, is the most revolutionary truth of all. The Stoic doesn't seek to escape the world, he learns to be free in it. So the next time life feels heavy, remember this. You carry within you the same strength that guided an emperor, the same calm that silenced chaos, the same freedom that no one can ever take away. You are your own philosopher king.
Chapter 11. The Emperor's Legacy, Living and Dying as a Philosopher. In the cold northern frontier of the Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius lay in his tent, weary yet serene. He had ruled the world's mightiest empire, endured plagues, betrayals, wars, and loss, and yet his heart remained unshaken. Marcus had mastered the only thing worth mastering, the art of the soul. His final thoughts were not of power or glory, but of duty, virtue, and the eternal flow of nature. He knew that the body fades, fame dies, and memory dissolves into time, but the soul that lives by reason and virtue, that remains immortal in its peace. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This chapter is the final mirror Marcus leaves us, a reflection of what it means to live fully and die well. Brain Lesson 1. The Art of a Good Life. Philosophy in Action. For Marcus, philosophy wasn't about endless theories or debates. It was about how you lived every single day. To him, wisdom was practical. You practiced it in the way you woke up, how you treated people, how you responded to pain, and how you faced death. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This was the foundation of his legacy, virtue through action. Marcus believed that philosophy wasn't about escaping the world, but engaging it with grace and strength. Modern application. Today, we often mistake intelligence for wisdom, reading self-help books, quoting quotes, yet not living them. Marcus reminds us that knowledge means nothing unless it's lived. So ask yourself, am I practicing what I preach? Because wisdom isn't shown in words, it's seen in choices. Heart Lesson 2. The Balance of Power and Compassion. Even with absolute authority, Marcus ruled with gentleness. He believed that every person, slave or senator, was part of the same human family. We are all limbs of one body, born to work together. He forgave easily, understood deeply, and punished reluctantly. He saw anger as weakness, not strength, because anger is the loss of control, the surrender of reason. Modern application. In today's world of quick tempers and online outrage, remember Marcus's calm.
When you want to lash out, pause and ask, what response honors my higher self? Be firm, but be kind. That's how leaders lead, not by domination, but by example. Fortune, Fame, and the Great Illusion. In his meditations, Marcus constantly reminded himself that fame is emptiness. He knew that those who once praised Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great were all gone, their names mere whispers on the wind. Consider how quickly all things are dissolved and resolved into the elements. Power fades, reputation fades, only your character remains. Modern application. In an age obsessed with followers, fame, and validation, this lesson hits hard. You can chase approval your whole life, but in the end, no one's applause will fill the emptiness of a neglected soul. Instead, invest in what lasts: wisdom, kindness, integrity. The rest is dust.
Lesson 4. The eternal flow. Living in harmony with nature. Marcus saw life as a constant cycle: birth, growth, decay, renewal. Everything changes, everything flows. The Stoic doesn't resist this, he joins it. Quote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to think that nothing nature loves more than to change existing forms." Unquote. By accepting change, you find peace. By fighting it, you create suffering. Modern application. When something ends, a relationship, a job, a chapter of your life, remind yourself, nothing is truly lost, it's just transforming. Like the seasons, everything has its time. Your peace comes when you stop trying to hold what wants to move. Lesson 5. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. Marcus faced death every day, not morbidly, but mindfully. He used it as a compass for how to live. Quote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Unquote. To him, death wasn't an enemy. It was nature's reminder to live meaningfully. Modern application. Take a moment each morning to whisper to yourself, "If this were my last day, how would I live it?" You'll find that priorities sharpen, gratitude deepens, anger loses its grip. Death awareness isn't depressing, it's liberating. It's the lens that brings life into focus. Lesson 6. Passing the torch, the legacy of a philosopher king. Marcus didn't pass on a dynasty of gold or conquest. He passed on an idea, that the true ruler is the one who rules himself. He left behind the meditations, not for the public, but for his own soul. And yet, centuries later, those private reflections became one of humanity's greatest guides to living wisely. Donald Robertson beautifully illustrates that Marcus's real empire wasn't Rome. It was the empire of reason, virtue, and compassion. And that empire still stands today in every person who seeks calm amidst chaos. Modern application. You don't need to be a ruler to leave a legacy. Every kind act, every moment of patience, every time you choose virtue over vice, you're shaping the world. The Stoic legacy lives on through your choices right now. Major takeaways from Chapter 11. Philosophy is practice, not theory. Compassion is real strength. Fame and fortune fade. Virtue endures. Nature's flow is perfect. Trust it. Death awareness gives life purpose. Legacy isn't power, it's peace of soul. Practical Stoic exercises. The morning meditation. Each morning, read one Stoic quote and apply it to your day. Ask, how can I live this truth right now? Gratitude at night. Before sleep, reflect on what went well. Don't judge the day by outcomes, judge it by effort and virtue. Letting go practice. Choose one area of life where you're resisting change. Ask, what would Marcus do? Then release it with trust in nature's wisdom.
Memento mori reminder. Keep a subtle reminder on your desk, a stone, a coin, or a quote to remember life's impermanence. Let it push you toward meaning, not fear. Final reflection. The flame that never dies. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek immortality through statues or songs. He found it in something far greater, the peace of a mind aligned with truth. Even now, across 2,000 years, his voice still whispers through his meditations. Quote, "Waste no more time. Live now." Unquote. That's the heart of Stoicism, to live now, fully, freely, and wisely. To think like a Roman emperor is not to crave power. It's to rule the only kingdom that truly matters, the kingdom within. So remember, as Marcus did, your time is short, but your influence can be eternal. Live with calm, act with virtue, love with depth. Because one day you too will return to the stars, and if you've lived with wisdom, that return will be peaceful. Quote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Unquote.
As the story of Marcus Aurelius comes to an end, we're left standing in the quiet echo of his legacy, a man who had every reason to be proud, yet chose humility, who had every chance to seek comfort, yet chose courage, and who had every temptation to rule others, yet chose instead to rule himself. Donald Robertson's How to Think Like a Roman Emperor isn't just a book about ancient philosophy, it's a roadmap for the modern soul. It reminds us that strength doesn't come from control, but from character, that real peace isn't found in luxury, but in the clarity of your own mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus lived these words through every trial, through war, betrayal, plague, and personal tragedy. He stood unshaken, not because life spared him pain, but because he learned how to stand in pain with grace. He discovered that the mind, when trained with reason and guided by virtue, becomes unbreakable. And that's the lesson he left for us, the same one echoed across centuries. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The Stoic path isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about seeing clearly, acting justly, and walking through chaos with calm. It's about living each day as if it were a lifetime, and treating every soul you meet with understanding, not judgment. Marcus Aurelius didn't teach us how to escape life's storms. He taught us how to walk through them like emperors of our own minds. Final reflections, lessons from the emperor's life. Control your mind, not the world. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you interpret it. That's your kingdom, your mind. Rule it wisely. Let go of what you can't keep. Fame, fortune, even the people we love, they all pass, but virtue, kindness, and wisdom remain eternal. Face pain with purpose. Don't hide from discomfort, learn from it. Every hardship is a teacher in disguise, shaping your soul into something stronger. Live with compassion. Strength isn't cold. The greatest Stoics, from Marcus to Epictetus, showed that the heart and mind must work together. True wisdom is kind. Remember, you're mortal, but not powerless. One day your story will end, but how you live right now will echo forever in the hearts you touch. A modern Stoic's challenge. Before you close this book, ask yourself, what would Marcus do today in your world of deadlines, noise, and endless comparison? He'd probably take a breath. He'd observe his thoughts. He'd act with reason and choose virtue over reaction. So start small. When frustration hits, pause before you speak. When temptation calls, ask if it aligns with your values. When life feels heavy, remind yourself this too will pass. These small acts of stoicism, repeated daily, will transform you from within. You'll start noticing the calm that comes from letting go of control.
You'll start feeling the quiet power of living with purpose. And in those moments, you'll understand what Marcus understood, that peace doesn't come from the world around you. It comes from the world within you. Closing words, the emperor within. The book may end here, but the journey doesn't. Every morning when you open your eyes, life offers you a fresh chance to think and live like a Roman emperor. The choice is always yours, to complain or to be grateful, to react or to reflect, to chase or to create. Because ultimately, Stoicism isn't about ancient marble statues or dusty manuscripts. It's about you. It's about becoming the calm in the storm. It's about walking through this noisy, chaotic world with your head high and your heart steady. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Simple, honest, powerful. That's Stoicism. That's strength. And that's the path Marcus Aurelius left for you to walk. One breath, one choice, one day at a time. So go live like a Roman emperor, not with power over others, but with mastery over yourself. Because that's how you become truly free.